Coretta Scott King, Ralph Abernathy, and Andy Young. They emphatically said we cannot trust these three, and we must do everything we can. They dropped the investigation of Coretta. They then went on to do to Andy and to do to Ralph what they had done to Martin. That was on April 12th that they signed the memo. On April 12th, I'm going to show you Jesse Jackson announcing that every time there's a crucifixion, there's a resurrection, saying that he is the resurrected man. Okay, what's that other tape you got there, Mr. Brown? Let's put this one in. Okay, let's put that one in and take it backwards a little bit. There's no other tape that back there that you have? And that one is still rolling? Okay. Now, Jesse's a strong proponent of the no Raul theory. And again, I showed you when I was here last.
We were totally dependent on Dr.
Yeah, turn the lights down. Now run it backwards. Run it backwards. That's Jackie saying that when the assassination went down, Jesse called her. And Jesse said, Jackie, Martin's dead. You're going to hear about it, but Martin's dead. And Jackie, she says, well, what are we going to do now, Jesse? She didn't say, how's Coretta? She didn't say, how's everybody else? She didn't say, is anybody hurt? She said, Jesse, what are we going to do now? Something you want to tell me? Okay, gotcha. Okay, and in this picture, now, yeah, this is Jesse announcing he's available for leadership. But just keep going back, because I want to put this in context. Oh, there's the white man, Don Rose. He's very important, because Don Rose, the white man, just stop it. Freeze, freeze. Oh, right there. Hold him up against the wall. Don Rose, great. His name, you all don't know him. I'm from Chicago. Don Rose is the white man that you see when you black to get the white media to report on you. You don't go call NBC, you don't call CBS, you call Don Rose, and he gets the media. When I was attacked and fired out of the mayor's office in Chicago, it was Don Rose who coordinated the white media's attack on me, which came May 1st, the Illuminati birthday, 1988. Don Rose is the man that Jesse Jackson left town to meet up, who put him on the Today Show the next morning after Martin was killed to start the discussion that Jesse is the heir apparent to Martin King. And you'll hear him say, I told Jesse, and we reinforced each other, that Jesse was the likely choice. Well, excuse me, Mr. White Man, are you in the SCLC? And doesn't it seem odd, Mr. White Man, that outside of the FBI, you're the only other white man that feels it's your job to pick the black man to run the black organization? See, it takes a lot of arrogance for me to stand here and say who's going to be head of the next ADL. Lieutenants of Satan. That would be like, well, you ain't even in the group. You can't even vote them in. But everybody don't know Don Rose. He's another one of those white people of the Jewish religion that got their fingerprints on the King assassination. And you don't know him. There used to be some in Chicago called Triple C. And Don Rose was the front man behind Al Raby, who was one of Martin King's associates, one of Harold Washington's associates, who died writing the resolution for the Black Jewish Coalition condemning Steve Coakley on November 25th, 1989. Al Raby dies laying on the resolution condemning me. Whatever that was struck his ass dead with a heart attack at 155 pounds, 5'9". Okay. Now let's keep going backwards. Let's just keep going backwards, because I'm going to show you Jesse in the courtyard. Now remember, we saw the people falsely pointing. For the record, in this picture is the man Raul, who's picked out of a lineup by a white woman named Grable, and Raul is standing next to Lee Harvey Oswald, who's standing next to Clay Shaw. Point being that the people who killed in the Kennedy came around for the King. Okay? Same squad. Notice Jesse, what is he? Does he have a tie on? Now remember we heard, stop right there. That's Calvin Moore. Oh, stop right there. Look at Jesse, no tie on. That ain't important yet. That's Ben Branch. Jesse wouldn't wear a tie that night. The briefing to the military men is friendlies will not be wearing ties. Ralph had on a tie. Martin was made to put his tie on. But Jessie emphatically wasn't going to wear no tie. And when we look at the people in the courtyard, notice who ain't wearing ties and who is. If you get to King video #1, you'll see the people without the ties ducking when the camera comes. For the things you're seeing us do now, that's in King Assassination #2 in the video. The only audio back there is a tape called King Assassination 99 or Jackson's role in the King Assassination. They're both the same tape. Okay, keep going backwards a little bit. Now, Jackson's in the courtyard at that moment, but all the staff is at the hospital. Jackson told everybody don't talk to the press. Soon as everybody left, he started talking to the press. Notice the shooting was in the light, and now everybody's gone, it's in the dark. Very important. Okay, let's hear Andy starting right here.
A jar, and started scraping up the blood, and said, you know, and crying. It was Martin's precious blood. This blood was shed for us. It was, you know, it was weird, but people freaked out and did strange things. Jessie put his hands in the blood and wiped it on the front of his shirt. And it was. I mean, what do you do?
You tell the truth.
In a moment like that.
Tell the truth.
Abernathy Young and others went to the hospital.
Notice nobody's giving a statement.
Where the media began to swarm.
Look at Jessie.
Yes,
Did you hear what he said? Stop in a second. Jessie saying in his southern accent, I need me a ride to go see Dr. King. Anybody got a ride I can go see Dr. King? Now the staff done left with the body. Ralph's in the ambulance with Martin. The rest of the staff's in the cars behind the ambulance. The police, who have cut off all of Memphis, are moving this procession, towards the hospital with a police escort, since all the roads are closed. Now, there's a tape back there. It might be one. I don't know if there is one. I don't think there is one. Coakley TV. But I did a cable show in Chicago laying out the King assassination in Jessie's role. And I said this for the record before. Jessie saw the program. And when Jessie, for him. Because as I mentioned, as Jessie would see me in the public, all my friends go, whoa, here comes Jessie, whoa, Steve's here, it's gonna be fireworks. And then they watch Jessie run around me. And I'm saying, if I'm talking about him, just like if you was talking about me, I'll hunt your ass down. You would never see me run from somebody dogging me out. Especially if it's unrighteous. Jesse's asking for someone to take him to see Dr. King. Now, he could have rolled with the rest of the staff, but he didn't ride with the rest of the staff because it wasn't but 2 phones coming through the switchboard and out, and the one payphone. Jessie runs to the one payphone, calls his wife, then calls Coretta. So can't nobody get to the phone because Jessie on it. So the staff go, everybody says no talking to the press, they all leave. Jessie sees they all gone, knows he's looking around. Can I get a ride to see Dr. King? He know ain't nobody gonna take him but another staff member. After he says it long enough, ain't nobody to take him. The press says, come on, Jackson, talk to us. Go.
That's a good picture. Would you tell me just what happened so we can get this film in, please?
Jessie always senses the moment. And it was an epical moment. And he was there.
The black people's leader, our Lord, the 500-year leader, has been taken from us by hatred and bitterness. Even as I stand at this hour, I cannot even allow hate to enter my heart at this time, for it was sickness, not meanness, that killed him.
Stop. Now let's take that comment. It was sickness, not meanness, that killed him. Versus Hosea saying, I was so mad I could take protons, neutrons, and kill me some white folk. But immediately, like Bevel, Jackson then forgave people he don't even know who they are. See, it's something you give an absolution and ain't even nobody in the confession box. You might as well forgive Casper the Ghost. See, it's something you give an absolution and ain't even nobody in the confession box. You might as well forgive Casper the ghost. But he's already forgiven. Don't worry. Don't mess with him. Because it ain't nothing. It was meanness, hatred, or some old bullshit. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm sorry, but listen.
I'm crying, hollering, oh God. And I immediately started running upstairs to where he was, and I caught his head, and I tried to feel his head, and I asked him, I said, Dr. King, do you hear me? Dr. King, do you hear me?
Stop.
And
Jackson gets up there, now that everybody's gone, and begins to say, I was the last person to talk to Dr. King. And I held him in my arms, and I said, Dr. King, can you hear me? Dr. King, can you hear me? And he never touched him. He never touched him. See, he used that statement to say that's how he got the blood on his shirt. But Andy just told you how he got the blood on his shirt. What did he do? He did this. He did this. You catch that?
Yes, sir.
Jesus or Judas? Okay, so now Ralph Abernathy was the only person to hold Martin, just to be clear. And Ralph held him from the moment of the balcony till they put him on the stretcher. Ralph was the only one in the ambulance. Ralph was the only one in the operating room. Ralph was the only one at the autopsy. And you will cry when you hear Ralph Abernathy say, when they take that saw and cut open Martin King's brain, and he says, and I was looking there on that gurney at my buddy, and when they cut his head, I knew my buddy wasn't in that body anymore. And on that last speech, Martin King, before he makes that, I've been to the seen the glory to come in the Lord, he turns to Ralph Abernathy and he tells the audience, I want you to know something here tonight, that my best buddy in the whole wide world is Ralph Abernathy. And why did he have the need to tell everyone who he loved as his friend unless he felt someone trying to falsely plant themselves as that person? And again, since Jessie was 6 in the order, it was no way he was the heir apparent, and Martin had already carved out the structure of the organization. They all knew it was Ralph after Martin. Al Sampson could come up here and tell you how many times Martin ingrained. No, don't do it. Let's go here, because we're running out of time, and I'd rather have you see this than hear me.
To hold his head. By that time, Dr.
While the rest of King's aides huddled through the night at the motel, Jackson rushed back to Chicago, where rage was already sweeping the city.
Stop. The cable show I do in Chicago, I'm straight up down, seeing all over Chicago. Jessie watches the show. But in the show, I mentioned Al Sharpton inspired me. Jackson calls Sharpton and accuses him of inspiring me to attack Jackson. Sharpton says, well, what did Coakley say? And Jessie gave him every detail. Sharpton said, and I wrote it down. He said, and then I went to see Reverend Claude I'm going to say Claude Wyatt. He said, I went to see Wyatt T. Walker, who was SCLC's field director at that time. And when he told Wyatt T. Walker what I said, Wyatt T. Walker said, protect Coakley. Don't let nobody mess with him. And tell Coakley that if Jackson ever attacks him or harasses him about that analysis, just ask Jessie to tell Coakley how he got out of Memphis on the night of the assassination, since the planes, the boats, the trains, the buses, and the cars were all cut off. When I mentioned that to Dick Gregory right before he came here a couple of weeks ago, Dick said, well, you know what happened, don't you? The FBI called the airport and let one plane out. One plane that had one Negro man on it. who got away from the others saying he was sick. Jessie says, well, you know, when they had the investigation, they never talked to me. Nigga, you left. You wasn't there. And that's when Don Rose says, and Jessie and I began to plan his resurrection. Then you're going to see Jessie at April 12th say, I'm ready for leadership now. And only 4 days after that, the FBI set up the plan to attack Ralph Abernathy and Andy Young and Coretta Scott King, with no plan whatsoever to attack Jackson, who's far faster, whose future was far higher than those donkeys and those mules. That thoroughbred would have been the one to stop unless he was yours. Okay, let's go.
When we were going to get in the car, it was really a silence, you know. It was who's going to speak first, you know, because I didn't have the words to say, and he didn't know what to say. And when he came home, he got in the bed with his shoes on and the shirt. And he just laid in the bed.
And I think that
In public, Jackson had an altogether different demeanor. It was as if he could see his destiny opening up before him at last, and he rushed toward it. 14 hours after the shooting, he appeared on the Today Show. Later that day, while listening to the solemn tribute at the Chicago City Council's memorial service, Jackson tapped Mayor Daley on the shoulder and asked to speak. Pointing to his shirt, Jackson said, "This blood is on the chest and hands of those who would not have welcomed King here yesterday." Then he called for calm in the city and end to the rioting. Meanwhile, at Jackson's directive, a movement publicist was booking interviews on Chicago TV shows. They were falling all over themselves to get Jessie, particularly as the word got out later that morning that Jessie had returned to Chicago and was wearing clothes stained with Dr. King's blood and was appearing before the city council and so forth. Don Rose accompanied Jackson to the tapings, the two men riding from studio to studio in the back seat of a car. He was thinking very clearly, thinking ahead, thinking of, frankly, his own career, the future of the movement, and his role within it. And we were both reinforcing each other with the view that Jessie was a very logical successor to Dr. King.
But I see you here so much alive, asking what to do. Where to turn? I am available now. I am more convinced than ever that every time that there is a crucifixion in right and righteousness, that in every and universal that there is a resurrection. That is the
King needs, long resentful of Jackson, saw his behavior as brazen opportunism. They were already angry that he had spoken to the press in the hours after the assassination, and furious that he had so dramatically inflated his own part in the story of King's final moments.
A lot of those resentments that had been buried in the movement and that allowed us to work alongside each other, but never got expressed in the emotion and frustration of Martin's assassination.
Now watch Coretta, watch Jessie walking in front of her. Jessie's walking in front of her at her own funeral. Look at him walking in front of her, and watch him turn around and look at her, and she turns her head.
As their story went, King had
Watch this.
Jackson, told him to go do his own thing.
Look, she sees him looking, turns her head. He turns back, she turns back. That'll be in the tape. You can slow it down and look at it. Cut.
He remembers King.
Stop. Now watch this. Watch this. This is Pepper's book. Let's turn the lights on real quick. Now we're running down on time. I got to talk real fast. Page 246 of Pepper's book. In 1968, Ernestine Campbell and her husband owned the Trumpet Hotel, which abutted the Lorraine. No one has ever talked to her or asked her about what she saw on the fateful afternoon.